Good.
Are we live? Oh, fantastic. Welcome everybody to Rutherford Ranch and our latest in our series of Instagram Lives. We hope you're all safe out there in the broader wine land. And I'm delighted today to be able to spend some time with Kaitlyn Sulenski, who is our associate winemaker.
I am.
Welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Yeah.
So Kaitlyn, winemaking, what an interesting profession to get into.
It is.
It's that science, but it's that art as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What led you to winemaking? Where was that passion started for you?
Well, my mother's side of the family is actually from the Napa Valley, and they drank a lot of wine when I was younger, not on the alcoholic level, but enough for me to appreciate it. And so when I was going to college, I decided to try to get into the fun part.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, not many people realize that kids are actually the cause for many parents actually discovering wine and drink in general. So you had that early passion, that early connection with winemaking, and especially here in Napa Valley. Where did you study? Where did you learn the art of winemaking?
So the first school I went to for winemaking was Cal Poly. So I was down in SLO, Central Coast, and then afterwards I decided to get my master's in winemaking. I wanted to become the master, and I actually was able to do that in France and Italy.
Wait a minute, you studied in France and Italy?
Yes, I did.
My goodness, whereabouts in France?
I was in the south of France in Montpellier.
Oh gosh, and how was that being an American girl studying in France?
You stick out a little bit, but I worked with it.
I love it. And then you mentioned from France over to Italy as well.
Yeah. In Italy, I worked in Sicily, where I stuck out a lot more than I did in France, but I loved it. It was the best experience. Any of my friends will let you know that. And then I was able to go up into Milan, where I got to study more northern Italian styles of winemaking, Nebbiolo, those kinds of wines.
Yeah. Vastly different to the varietals that we're used to here in Napa Valley.
Way different.
Yeah, sure. So then from Italy to Australia, I think?
Yeah, so I also worked a little bit in Australia at a winery in the Barossa Valley. So they did the Shiraz, Riesling, Sauvignon Blanc, the typical Australian wines.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. We in the Valley, we see a lot of interns, so a lot of folks that will travel over from Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, the southern hemisphere wine growing regions, and will come and work harvests with us. And there's a lot of free players in there, so we'll actually go to their regions as well, which is interesting. Yeah. So, what attracted you to Rutherford Ranch? What was the hook that brought you back here?
Well, it was my grandpa used to live in Rutherford, so it was kind of one of those bringing back to my roots a little bit. In addition to the winery, Jay, the winemaker, I was really excited to kind of like be back here and be with a winemaker that I got along with and agreed with in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, he's. We had a great opportunity to spend some time with Jay last week and dig a little deeper into where he sees us going as a winery, both from the vineyard perspective and a little bit in the winemaking area too. So on a day-to-day basis, what are you concentrating on? What are you looking at to bring to the table here at Rutherford?
Yeah, so the day-to-day changes season to season. So right now we're in blending season, so we're doing a lot of barrel sampling and making sure that we can make a blend, that all the barrels that we're choosing are going to be harmonious in the bottle that we're trying to bottle coming up pretty soon. And then previous to that, it was barrel purchasing season, which is a big spend, but it's very much worth it because we have to really make sure that the barrels that we're purchasing for the 2020 vintage is going to be the barrels that we want with that fruit that's going to continue the cycle.
Yeah.
And then day to day during harvest, I go out into the vineyard. So it really, that's part of the beauty of the industry. There's always something to do that's not the same thing every single day going through.
Sure. And Jay, I think, expressed it really well last week. We at Rutherford Ranch really think of growing wine. I mean,
Yes.
it starts and almost stops in the vineyard, right?
Yes.
If we don't grow the best fruit that we can,
Yes.
you guys can't make good wine from it.
Exactly, and I think that's why we get along really well, because we both have that same philosophy. The less we can do in the winery, the better.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be doing too many additions, and the less you add, the better the wine's going to be. The more representative of where we're growing the wine it's going to be.
Right, I like it. It's a soft hand, a soft footprint in the vineyard.
Yes.
And it's a softer hand actually in the winery as well. And I don't want you to necessarily downplay the barreling program at the winery, and this is true for, I think, any wines. The vineyard kind of sets the fresh fruit aspect of the wine, but then the barrels really come in with a much higher level of complexity.
Yeah, so sometimes barrels can be used to mask fruit, and we don't want to do that. We want
Right.
to use barrel types that kind of enhance and partner with the fruit well. So we're not trying to cover anything up, we're trying to lift it.
Got it. Well, here we are with a glass of our Rosé, which we actually released yesterday. And our Rosé has this really, and we're tremendously humble about it, but this wonderful following. And the 2019 vintage is right up there with it. What was your work? How did you help produce this wine?
Well, this wine's really interesting because it actually comes from the vineyard on our property here at the winery. So the way that we make the rosé is that we'll press off the juice, or we will drain the juice off from the tank.
Yeah.
So the tank has all the grapes all mushed up in it, and then we'll take the juice out when it has that really deep, vibrant color. So the color of this wine is natural, and it's amazing. So when you see that juice, it almost looks like a red wine, and once it starts fermenting, it just gets this beautiful pink color.
Got
so
it.
It's really fun.
So the skins and the juice are in the tank, but we want some of the color and some of the flavor, but we want that kind of that light vivacity that really is rosé. So you'll pull some of that juice out, and this is it. So if this is from the Abella vineyard here at Rutherford, is this Merlot? Is it Cabernet Sauvignon?
It's a combination of Cab and Merlot. The last couple of vintages have been like that, and I believe that both of those are bringing different aspects to the wine.
Got it.
I think the color's coming from both varieties, actually, not one or the other.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's a really nice blend.
Yeah, and I'm so pleased that you're here to share this with us and talk a bit about it. I often feel that rosé over the years has kind of been pushed to the side. You know, I wouldn't call it the bastard child of wines, but it's never really had the recognition that it should have, I think.
Yeah. Well, and I studied in the south of France, so.
Look at that, just perfect. Yeah,
Fitting.
it's a little bit of sunshine in the glass. Well, let's have a taste.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got that lovely kind of strawberry, bright strawberry nose to it.
Yep,
yeah. And that's exactly where the colour would take you. Oh, I don't know, I can see this on a hot summer's afternoon, bunch of friends around, something on the barbecue, shrimp, I don't know, something like that going.
Yeah, I don't want to be too boring, but I'd say chicken.
Chicken? Love it, love it. Well, salut. Wow, it really pops. It's got great acidity, just bright. Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to go for. We want something that has that bright acidity, that's something really fresh that kind of will help lift your summer plate, basically. Or you can drink it on its own, because that's what I do at home.
Yeah, I know. A friend of mine, not here at Rutherford, at another winery, but he talks about rosé as being a porch pounder, and I love it. You're out there on the porch, just enjoying wine, just for the sake of it.
Yes.
Well, Kaitlyn, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule.
Yes.
And sharing it with our viewers. As I mentioned earlier, this was released yesterday, and a lot of folks have already taken advantage of it. If you'd like to see this, please come and visit our website or give us a call here at the winery. We'd be delighted to introduce it to you. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. And also, once life returns to a new normal, we very much look forward to sharing a glass of Rutherford Ranch wine with you. Kaitlyn, thank you, and cheers to our guests. Thank you very much.
Thank you.